Hi, this is Blythe Stevens of A Blythe Coach, dance education and coaching to move through life with balance, grace, and power. This podcast usually includes weekly bite-sized insights on dance, yoga, creativity, well-being, and joy. But to celebrate the 50th episode of my podcast, I've decided to share a special interview, kicking off a regular series of interviews that'll be interspersed with my solo episodes. I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my mentors, the teacher who first introduced me to ballet and taught me to dance and has inspired me in so many ways, Virginia Holte. In this conversation, we discussed her history as a dancer and a dance educator, her current projects, teaching in pandemic and online, and her positive approach to life. Virginia Holte is the founder and artistic director of West Hawaii Dance Theatre, which can be found at WHDT.org. And having also traveled to the island of Maui to teach for the last 27 years, she recently founded a new project-based outreach project called the Maui Ballet. That's at mauiballet.org. A graduate of the Academy of the Washington Ballet under the late Mary Day, Ms. Holte enjoyed a long professional dance career with the Indianapolis Ballet Theatre, Chicago Ballet, Washington Ballet, and various guest appearances with Ballet Internazionale, New Jersey Ballet, and Indiana Ballet Theatre Northwest. She is a third series practitioner of Ashtanga Yoga, certified in the Pilates Method, mat, and equipment from the Physical Mind Institute. Ms. Holte is an international certified gyrokinesis and gyrotonic specialized master trainer. She has been sharing her love of ballet and movement with the Hawaii community since 1986, which is right about when I also started dancing. West Hawaii Dance Theatre and Academy transforms individuals and builds community by providing a comprehensive educational dance and theater program on the Big Island of Hawaii, where I grew up. It was so much fun catching up with Virginia, and I hope to have the chance in the future to bring her back on the podcast to talk more in depth about some of her areas of expertise, such as yoga, Pilates, and gyrokinesis. And I also have exciting ideas for other guests that will be on future podcast episodes as well, and interviews. So stay tuned for those.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's Guten Morgen there.
Yes, it
is.
is.
Early for you? Are you up too early? Or are you okay on this time frame?
It's okay at this time. Actually, I'm still getting up on Tuesday mornings to teach at 6:15.
Okay.
Because I'm teaching here. I'm teaching students of mine in Hawaii. So it's
wow. Yeah.
6:15.
So 6:15 at night.
Yeah. And in the winter, it's 7:15, but I couldn't get up any earlier.
Yeah.
No, that's really crazy.
If you make you feel any better, I study with Hilary Cartwright, who's like an old timey. She was with Royal Ballet, and she's when gyrokinesis and gyrotonic first started, she and Giulio kind of created it together. So I take a class with her. She was in New York, but now she's in Santa Fe, but it's at 9 her time. So it's like 5 a.m. my time. So I have to do this gyrokinesis class at 5 a.m. on Saturdays before I start to teach. It was right,
see the sunrise, and I figure I can always take a nap later. So what if you hadn't pursued professional ballet as a career and then become a teacher and that sort of thing? What other careers did you consider? What would be your dream job or a two if you hadn't found this path?
I didn't have another alternative.
There was no.
There was no alternative. Growing up in the cornfields of Indiana, they thought I was a little nuts because, again, it was sort of like here. There wasn't a whole lot. There was one lady teaching ballet, and she taught ballet, acrobatics, and tap. Yeah. And she was one of those, she had gone through Europe with 2 other friends, and they were chained together at the ankles. They were doing cartwheels and things like that. So somehow she was able to get the Cecchetti Ballet training, all the grades. And that's what she taught us, which was a great base.
Yeah.
And so it was a great base. I mean, and that's kind of how I started. But I didn't have a second choice.
Right.
I had no second choice. When I was growing up, I roller skated because the roller skating rink was in the alley behind our house, and my mom had a job there. So I would go with her, and I was 2, and people would roll me around on the skates. So, and then we did a little competitive stuff, a little competition stuff. But I remember at age 4 or 5, and I've never even really saw a ballet dancer. I just never really saw one. I mean, I think I had a coloring book, or maybe the library had maybe 1 or 2 books about ballet. And I kept telling them, I'm going to do this. I just am going to do this. This is what I want to do. And fortunately, my parents were so supportive of it. Because they even, my siblings and other people. So it was a little bit growing up in school, and people thought I was a little weird because I was always going to ballet. I said, I can't wait to get out of here and go to ballet class.
Yeah. So much more fun.
Yeah, it's so much more fun. And also the other thing about it is I really didn't like to talk. I didn't like talking to people. And I thought the dance and the movement part was the best way for me to communicate with people. I felt like I could really talk to people in that way, because my vocabulary, I didn't have a very large vocabulary. Somehow that was kind of lacking. I mean, it's gotten better over the years.
I was going to say, apparently.
It's gotten better over the years. But when I was growing up, that was a little tough for me. So I just really felt that was going to be my outlet to communicate with people, was through dance somehow or another.
Yeah.
But ballet in particular, because I love the tutus and the pointe shoes on the coloring pages.
Yes, the outfits.
The outfits, yeah.
Sometimes the parents of my little ones say, they really just wanted to get into ballet for the outfit. I'm like, that's okay. That's totally normal. Okay.
That's totally normal, yeah. Yeah, I like that too. But it was really weird, because at that time, they wouldn't let you start ballet till you were 8. So I had to wait. But one of the first class I went into, I remember, taking this class, and I remember the teacher talking to my mom going, I think she should be in a higher level class. So I had 1 class, right? So, it kind of accelerated pretty quickly through it. And I actually only stayed with her, Wanda Tamasi, for her, I was with 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I was with her for 5 years.
Yeah.
And by the 4th year, they were already starting to look for me somewhere to, to go study, because there was nothing there. And Chicago was too hard to go into. You would have to take a train, and, I was too young to do all that. So it was better to go to a boarding school. Just high school, I went to boarding school. That's what I did. Washington School of Ballet. Just went there, right there. Expanding your spirit and really physically embodying the arts. I mean, you were not doing that. And this is the only thing I could find that you could actually do that. Physically embodying the arts and, and communicating through that way. So.
I know, I actually really enjoyed reading over the founder statement and all of that, because I haven't really looked at that for a while, or ever, on the website. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like 1986.
Yeah.
There was really no ballet, really none.
There was really none. And, the first 5 students I had of those, it was Miho Morinori, Miho and Maki, and Carlson,
I was going to say
Ellen
Dixie.
Carlson. No, Dixie came later.
Okay.
It was, it was really, like Miho really went off and did it, So.
Yeah, that's amazing that one of your first 5, went for it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, she really, and Miley Clark, she was one of them. And she still takes ballet as an adult. She's in Boston, and she has her own company now. She has lit candles. She's doing candles and making them herself, and they're really beautiful. They're done with wood wicks and.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
And she's on the board of the Boston Ballet.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
So she still has ballet in her life, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And she's helping. We have the boy, Andrew, who's at Boston Ballet right now. He's in 15. He's training at Walnut Hill, but they've combined now. So he's doing that, like what you did in North Carolina. They have that at Walnut Hill. And so she's kind of mentoring him because, he's a Hawaii kid there. So.
Yes, it's nice to have someone in the area that has some connection to, Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really have that, but I have my grandparents in Tennessee, so that was good to have at least someone somewhere.
Yeah, I know. We just sent you there, and go for it. Go for it. You're gonna get a great education.
Right?
I went there. It's good.
Yeah, I promise. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah, you had you got a lot of connections and everything.
It was really great.
I knew you would be okay, because you really have to, it's still really pretty limited here, with what even though we've been building it, there's
yeah, it's still, you still can't come and do class every morning.
Yeah. Well,
so
we have classes every day, but we don't have them like every morning. Midori's teaching Wednesday. I teach Friday and Saturday, and then we'd have gyrokinesis on Monday, but I do that online. So it's just not enough people to do it. Yeah.
But you've been amazingly creative at maximizing the offerings for how many people there are.
Yeah. Just expanding that out. I think the Gyrotonic Expansion System was really helpful with that, because that's a very international group, and a lot of dancers are involved in that. So that's gotten me, like, I have a couple, the guy was with San Francisco Ballet, and the girl was trained in Russia, and they're gyrotonic trainers now. So they're kind of finding me, to come to Hawaii to do the teacher training.
Right.
So that's kind of cool, to have connection with these other professional dancers that are turned into gyrotonic trainers.
For sure. I was curious about what actually the website says. Hawaii is this magical place of creativity and energy, and people sort of find their way there in order to tap into that. But I actually don't know what took you from your career on the East Coast and all over actually to Hawaii. What motivated that huge shift for you, and being willing to try to introduce ballet to the Big Island?
Well, honestly, it was the weather.
Yeah. But they have good weather in Florida, right?
Well, okay. Well, what happened was we had just gotten off a nutcracker season. It was in January, and we were on the bus for like 8 weeks, going through Wisconsin and Minnesota, and
in the winter.
In the winter, for 8 weeks on the bus doing the Nutcracker tour. And I have a friend who's also a dancer. She was married to a Marine, and he had just gotten based over in Kaneohe. And so she said, "Well, why don't you come and visit?" I was like, "Oh, okay, let me try that." Sure. So because we had a week off right after Christmas and before we were going to start again, I said, "Yeah, let me do that." So I just flew over, and as I'm looking down and I'm landing and I'm getting off the plane, I'm going, "My God, this is January. This is what happened." And so she was hooked in with the dance scene on Oahu. That's how I met Elaine.
Right. I was going to say, because Elaine had been going to Ballet Hawaii already, probably.
Yeah, she was, it was pretty, well, it was actually a few years later, because I didn't actually move right immediately.
Right.
I came several times before I decided to not be on the bus for 8 weeks during Nutcracker season anymore. So,
I'm done with that.
I was done with that. I was like, okay, and it's the same people, and and it's tough. That bus touring is tough when you do it for like 8 years.
I think it's tough for 1 week. It would be tough.
It was tough. Because that was the most of the money. We were that Indianapolis Ballet Theatre, we were a very small company. Like Chicago Ballet and Washington were much bigger, and they didn't do a lot of touring. They just were in the theater.
Right.
But Indianapolis Ballet was really like the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo.
Yes.
Traipsing across the country, going to little towns that never really saw ballet, doing school shows, introducing it. It was a really pioneering effort.
Mm-hmm.
But the great thing about it is I had a not only the good training that I had, but I really learned a lot about everything when I was there, because we had to do everything. We had to help with the costumes. We had to help lay the floor out. We had to help with, the lighting. I learned so much about the whole thing, not just dancing on stage.
Yes.
In that arena. It was better than any college that I could have gone to, because it was hands-on experience, personal experience through the whole thing.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was it was a fabulous learning process, which is what I brought to here, because nobody knew what they were doing.
Yes, you had to be the one then to teach all of that. Here's how you fix a tutu.
Yeah, and all those things, because we really started from the beginning here. There was really nothing. There was really nothing.
Yeah.
And it feels like I'm still starting from the beginning every day here. Especially now that there's a pandemic and many people have slid it out. We have to kind of rebuild again,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a real challenge, is the attrition, since,
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing that at the studios I work at here too. But
yeah. But the weather, that was what brought me here.
Yeah.
I had no desire to dance or teach or anything. I didn't know what I was going to do. I started sewing at the Kona upholstery place, because I could sew, and and then Bob Russell gave me a job sewing fish flags for.
Oh my gosh!
And I would stuff them, and I would contact the people to buy them. So these are the things I was doing when I first moved here, because I had no job.
Yeah,
I didn't have a job. There was
find something in Kona to do.
Yeah. So, but then when I walked into the Aloha Theatre, when Susan and Alan Brzezinski first had it, and there were these 5 girls, and there was a lady there teaching them, and I was like going, oh my goodness. And then she was leaving. She said, do you want to take these 5 girls over? I said, sure, I could do that. And then Alan and Susan said, well, if you want it, because they had a daughter, they wanted to take ballet too. So I did handwritten signs up and down Kainaliu, and I had 60 students within a matter of 2 days. So I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna start teaching here.
That's a really good. That's a really good outcome, though. Everyone's like, "Oh, a ballet class? Yes."
Yeah, all the hippies down south, they all wanted to.
Yes, we've got this beautiful theater, so.
Yeah. So that worked out good. Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Yeah, and I actually did start there with you too.
At the Aloha.
Yes. But then soon thereafter, we were in
Rini's.
Yeah,
little place down in Hawaii. And then she moved back up to the Aloha Theatre. We were up there. And they call that Dameron Hall now. They changed the name of that place. Dameron Hall. Yes, because they had that dance studio there. So that's when I got brave and started the thing.
Yes.
Like, okay. Yeah.
Yes. And there was a couple different locations, and then finally you landed at where
we are now. Yeah, we've been there for a long time now.
Yeah.
In a beautiful way. I mean, ballet is so beautiful. The lines and the whole.
Yeah. I just love it so much. I mean, I branched out for sure, and had great opportunities with you, but also at NCSA to do modern dance and different things to balance it out. But the fact is, I just really love ballet. I can appreciate and enjoy modern and every other style too, but it's just really where my heart is, as far as
right. And you got to follow your heart. That's where you got to go. I mean, if you don't do that, then you're not a happy person. If you can't follow your heart.
Yes. That's something else I wanted to touch on too, is you just always have struck me as the most positive, optimistic, enthusiastic person. It's been so great as a role model for me to, in whatever circumstances, I feel like multiple times in putting together those shows, there was always a moment where you think, this is not going to work out. I'm not really sure how this is all going to come together. And you never had that thought, at least from my perspective. You always had complete faith. Oh no, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. They're going to love it. And I was like, really?
And they do.
And you were right.
They did. Yeah, no, because I can see that. I mean, I can see the energy forming. I mean, there are definitely, roadblocks in all of these creations. And, you just have to look at the bright side of the roadblock and get over it. And then, and then it'll just go through there. I mean, yeah, it's just like that. It's like when you also like people, like if you have several people in a piece of choreography, and some of them, they really don't like one another, but they have to dance next to one another, and you kind of go, okay, we've really got to go above your emotions on this and just, do the dance, just get into it for yourself. So it usually always kind of helps to, just as long as they can do that and not think about the other person, how they don't like them, it seems to work out pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so attracting things to, and the law of attraction, I'm sure you know about that. So if you want to attract positive, exciting things to yourself, you have to pull it in,
Right. But you knew that before before the law of attraction, I feel like. You could have written that.
Maybe you could have written that. I don't know. Yeah. I tried, and just kind of, just kind of make it up. Just making it up and don't give up. Make it up and don't give up. It's like,
don't give up.
It's like the funding of all the funding thing has been kind of the hardest for me, to write the grants and get the funds to do the projects that I want to do. The projects are great, but it's, a lot of great projects never get off the ground because you don't have the funding. So that's kind of been my biggest challenge, because I don't really like to write. And I don't really like to try to put 1,000 characters when they ask you like 20 questions to try to couch them in these things.
All of the and each grant is different, right? What they're expecting you in terms of length and what kinds of questions they're asking that you answer.
Yeah. And then they ask you the same question like 5 different ways, and they want you to reply in the same thing in 5 different ways. So that's kind of been the biggest challenging part of it. But I'm never giving up. I don't care if I write 15 grants and only get one of them.
Yeah.
It's okay, because at least somebody heard me. So
yes, it's a numbers game, right? If you put it out there, it's bound to come back to you.
It has to in some way. And it's difficult being a small nonprofit as we are. And in the underserved area seems to work for some ways, but there's a lot of underserved areas.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of competition for the money. And it's a lot of it's like who now that we've been funded by State Foundation of Cultural Arts for quite a few years, that grant's a lot easier to get. The more you do them, the more they see that you're following through. We've gotten probably 20 years of funding from them now. And it's really interesting because we didn't get funded for this year, and it was because they ran out of money. But somehow or another, I got a phone call about a month ago from Brittany, she goes, we just got some money in the fund. Do you want it?
Oh no, we're good.
It was like, yes, I'll take it, of course. So then I had to go back and because what happened was you have to write a grant for 2 years, and it's kind of, I had written it thinking that we're not going to have a pandemic, so I had to rewrite it in the way that we're doing, the filming of it and these kind of things without ticket sales, and to redo, and then I had to use the operating budget for operating expenses as opposed to the project expenses. And there's a few little things I had to fix for it, but I got it. I was shocked. I was like, you called me? Like, wow.
That's great.
But I think it's because we have such a track record with them now.
They probably felt really bad that they couldn't couldn't keep that going this year, but then they did. Yes.
The Ballet of Hawaii always gets so much money. I'm always like jealous of them because they get so much money. Oahu gets so much money, and we get these little trickles. But we can do a lot with little trickles. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. The nonprofit thing is a whole other situation too. I think it works so well with your mission and what you're doing there and the outreach and that sort of thing. But I know that organizationally, it's a whole other system of business that you have to be really careful about too, in terms of the record keeping and everything.
Yeah. Well, luckily I don't do that anymore. I was
going to say, but you have a team doing that part for you now, but you're still writing grants, but I'm
still writing the grants. Yeah, but once we get them, then they have to put it in the accounting in the way to show that that's going out. So I have Gudrun, she's German, by the way, Gudrun.
Yeah, good
She's
German
from
name.
Yeah. And she's
Oh,
really,
I met her.
you met her.
Yeah, last time.
Yeah. So she's the bookkeeper, and then she can't do the taxes, so we have to send it to a tax guy. So, all this is expensive. You got to pay for a bookkeeper, and then you got to pay for the tax guy, and then you have to pay for the audit, and you're like, oh, okay. But it's imperative. I think the two people you really need to have is the bookkeeper and the marketing and graphic designer person. They cost the most.
Yeah,
they get paid more than I do. But unless you have that, you don't look good.
But that's, exactly. That's what people are going to see first. That's what's representing you. And
Right.
Yeah.
It's really tricky. It's, like the dance part is like 2%. 98% is all this other stuff to be able to do the dance part, right?
Yeah.
Somebody told me that when I first started to do this. I was like, oh no, I don't think so. But they're right. I was like, they're right.
Yes. It's probably best if you sort of don't know everything as you're going in case it's like
That's me. I knew nothing. All I knew was how to dance. That was it. And I was like, oh, okay, now I need to do what? Right.
The whole business side.
I figured out how to do the nonprofit just from a book. It was a Rolo book. And it was like, how to start a nonprofit organization. I just took that and pulled the pages out and filled it in and sent it in. There was no computer at the time, and that's how I got it.
Right. The 501c3.
501c3, yeah. But the mission is the same. The mission statement that we had then, it really hasn't changed at all, really. The educational part, the performance parts, facility to house the things. All of that is really intact. It's never really changed.
Yeah.
So
the vision worked.
It worked. No.
Yeah, I was just thinking because it was about 86 to 96 that I was working with you.
Right.
So it's been 25 years.
I love it. That was my dream, though, to see if I could get any of you guys here to go on to coming from where we are, to see if I could really push some of the really talented kids to go on with this. And you did it. Yeah, you're doing it, and you're doing a great job. I just love seeing all of the things that you're putting out, and the emails and the coach, how you've like wound all these things together that it's so great.
Thank you. Yeah, I wonder sometimes like, it's a lot of things that we're pulling together, but I love all those things. So
and it works, and it works really well. It works really well to see the yoga and the dance and your coaching, and it's really, really brilliantly put together.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that, how you obviously train and specialized in ballet, but then you ended up also doing yoga, and you've also done gyrotonic, and I feel like you were really early on the scene actually with yoga. And unfortunately, I was too young to appreciate it then. I never liked yoga until I was an adult.
Right. Yeah, but I gave it to you guys anyways. Actually, at Pilates too, because we had Pilates when I was at Washington School of Ballet. Right. This is way before anybody knew about it or was certified in it or any of this stuff, because we had Kathy Grant come down from New York to teach us, but it was part of our training. And I remembered that once it was the Hilton, I think, that because they knew I was teaching it to you guys. Because I think one of the moms was working there and I was teaching the kids, you guys, the core strength. She goes, "You teach Pilates?" And so, well, yeah, I know it.
Could do the hundreds.
Yeah, I could do the hundreds. Yeah. So that was kind of the beginning, I think, of that. And then the yoga, of course, came in. And then later gyrokinesis, because I could never get back to the mainland to study with Giulio, because he was only doing it in person. So it took time. I had to fly. I was still dancing, and I would fly back through San Francisco when he was there to study with him, and then do my guestings in Chicago or whatever. And then little by little, I started to hook that in. And then I just started to go, okay, I got to just study with him twice, 2 or 3 times a year to get it, the whole thing. So I've been doing that, the gyrotonic work, over 20 years now, 22, 23.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's really pulled it together. The dance, the yoga, the Pilates, the moving of the body, the breathing. People don't teach the breathing in dance, and in ballet especially. So it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, it was super great actually when I was in Portland and had that crazy accident where I was hit by a truck and was all whiplash and sprained, and thankfully no broken bones. But I remember you sent me to your gyrotonic student there because she was looking for hours, and so I went to her house and worked on her equipment, and it helped so much. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really good. Yeah, well, you're in the land where Julio lives. He lives in Munstertal. He's right there.
Yeah.
So they have quite a few good gyrotonic trainers there, although you probably can't get to them right now.
No, I don't think so. I can get to them the same way you can.
Yeah, you can do the Zoom. You can do the Zoom. That's about
yeah, I know. There's always something else on the horizon that I want to that I want to pursue. I did finally get because it's been at least a decade in the making. I did finally get my yoga certification. I'm like, yes, because I was putting that off and putting that off. Oh no, I got my coach training first, and then my master's, and then I need a teacher credential too, which is so funny because I got that teacher credential and then left Hawaii. It was like in order to be able to stay and continue to teach in a sustainable way there. And then
but this is the thing. This is what's so great about you, and and I'm the same way. We're always learning. I'm always wanting to learn something else because I think I can bring more to the table each time. Because everybody's unique and individual how they're learning dance or where they're gonna go with it. So the more I know, the more I can offer to help to try to push in those directions,
Yes.
So that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
So you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's something I'm so grateful for, is that the studio that happened to exist because of you in Kona happened to also be sort of founded in this idea, as the website says, and the person and their potential wherever that might lead. And it's not so, the technique is very important too, but it's a route to learning and to growth. And I always resonate the most with studios like that. I can't really get behind we're here to make competitors or something like this mindset. But but
that's the truth, because look at Quinn. You remember Quinn Wharton, right?
I think that's
Quinn, after you, maybe. I don't know. He was maybe just coming in because he was in a Nutcracker. Did you do Nutcracker when we did it at HPA?
No.
You didn't? Okay. He might have just when you were leaving.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's a boy from Pauilo, and we trained him, and I sent him to North Carolina School of the Arts like you.
Yes.
I sent him off because he was really talented. He ended up being in San Francisco Ballet. He got a job in San Francisco Ballet and then Hubbard Street Ballet. But in the meantime, because he's seen all these little in-between stuff, he started taking photographs and videos and stuff like that. So now he is the guy. If you see something on the cover of Dance Magazine, you're going to look and see Quinn Wharton. He's been all over the world taking pictures of all the famous dancers. And so that is why I want to bring him back to do this project that I'm working on for next year with Timour.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool because, last year, we didn't get to do Jungle Book because of COVID. It got
right. And Timour was choreographing that.
Timour had choreographed Jungle Book. His heart is in Jungle Book. He studied it a lot, and he did it at Cary Ballet. He choreographed it for the students at Cary Ballet. So he was choreographing it for us, and of course in a little bit different way. And then we didn't get a chance to do it. However, we have all the graphics and all the things to do it. And so I got to thinking about this. I'm like going, well, we're not gonna have a theatrical audience for a long time. I mean, it's gonna take a while before you can get a full house audience.
Yeah.
And everybody is doing the videos, yes. So, and look at where we live. Doesn't it look like a jungle in some places?
It's a little bit jungly.
It's a little jungly. There's some jungle parts here. So because, I'm trying to get funding for it because, it's fairly expensive to do film projects.
For sure.
And so I'm trying right now. I've never tried for a National Endowment for the Arts grant. I've never tried to get one, but they have one called Challenge America, and it's for underserved areas, which is like us. Mm-hmm. And it's $10,000, but you have to have a matching grant. So I got the matching part of it, like really easily, but I don't have the NEA grant yet. The portal is going open. So my idea of it, because they want to see the underserved kids. So I was like, I'm going to put together students from here with the professionals that are coming. They're going to be mentoring them. They're going to job shadow them, everything. The costumes, the location finding, the administrative part of it, getting it out to the public. Somebody's going to shadow Timour while he's choreographing it. And, so this will be a great learning experience for the kids who are interested in dance, but maybe not as a career in dance, but can see all these other avenues that you can go with.
Right. You can be in dance and not be a dancer.
Right. Yeah, but if you have dance, then
you can understand
just so much more rich, right?
Right. You can't really be a dance costumer and not have dance. You'll never make the costume.
You'll never understand what it feels like. The bodices are too tight, too slow,
right?
So that's my project that I'm seeing for 2021. Mm-hmm. And I'm just working. I have it all together. Timour wants to bring Robbie Fairchild to do the lead person in it. We're also researching some of the Hawaiian folklore to see if we can somehow wind a bit of Hawaiian in with it because it's going to be filmed here.
Right. So it can be more location specific.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got the Koloko cloud forest right up there. I mean,
yes.
Big jungle.
It'd be so cool too with the mist and everything.
Yeah. So that's kind of, and then to pull people back here that like Quinn and maybe Marissa would come down, mm-hmm. Other people maybe would come that have been here to do the professional part and mentor the kids in these things.
Yes. Yeah. It's so cool. Actually just watched, I really enjoyed their Waltz of the Snowflakes was the first piece I saw from Post Ballet in San Francisco. And they just released Swan Lake. It's 15 minutes. So really, really condensed, but 5 scenes, and they're in 5 different locations all around the Golden Gate Bridge. Mm-hmm. On a weather or days or a day that are completely extraordinary. The bay never looks like this, but it's like gleamingly sunny, and it's so beautiful the way they've done the film. It usually really bothers me to watch filmed dance where they get too artsy with the camera angles and things. You're like, I want to be able to see their feet. But somehow the way that the cinematography is done for that company, I really like. It actually does, I think, add to the choreography that they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's what we're hoping to do, something like that. So Quinn is involved in this contemporary group up in Seattle. It's that name of that company is Whim W'him, WHIM WHIM. So he's done several projects. The Little Prince was the latest project he did with them.
Cool.
And so I'm looking. He's very artistic but he knows dance. He really knows dance. So those pieces were really cool. That's why I thought he would be a great one to bring back to do that. So we're hoping for something like that. It's not going to be more than a half an hour, the film.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be. I think for film too, you don't want to go on and on. It needs to be really.
It could even be like 20. Yeah. If people, and nowadays with the social media and everything, everybody's like fast. They just want to see it like seconds, like a second thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that all goes. And for me, it's a brand new experience because I've never put anything. I mean, I put shows together, but I've never put together a film project.
Yes.
And Timour has been in film projects, but he's never choreographed for a film project, so it's a learning curve for him.
So that particular Maui project is actually new then, the Maui Ballet.
Yes, I just started it. I had thought about, when the lockdown in Mappa, Maui Academy, they totally shut down. They didn't even try to do anything online to finish their semester. So what happened was that they did do finally a 6-week thing, but I couldn't be invited to teach, even though I teach over 100 kids there. I wasn't invited to teach at it because I wasn't an employee, because I was an independent contractor. I just kind of went, you know what, this is an opportunity to really do the real deal there, and offer that. So the other teachers, they're more like hip hop, contemporary, the competition kind of. So they've started Momentum Dance Maui. They do have ballet classes, but they're not, like what I do. They're not doing the terminology and the dance history and the orchestrography and the, all the history and behind it and all the, everything for injury prevention. I mean, how you teach all that stuff in there. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to start this and see who shows up, because they didn't get to do their ballet last year. They were going to do La Baidere, which it was really kind of dicey. So I said, okay, their seniors usually get the lead roles, so there were like 10 seniors that didn't get to dance last year. And I've taught them since they were like 10 or 11. I know these kids pretty well. And so one of them, contacted me and they go, oh, can you come over? I said, yeah, let me figure out something. So I came up with this idea for the Maui Ballet, and it's project based. So I don't have to go every week and do all the training. So I'm just doing Don Quixote. I'm going there, I give them a little warm up, and then I'm teaching them sections of it, some of the solos, PT solos, the trios, the Sigila, Moreno dance. And so we're putting it together in a little 40-minute doodad that's going to be filmed at the I rented the theater to do it in, which is great because they haven't been in a theater for a year and a half. So they were so grateful and excited, like more than I've ever seen teenagers in my life.
Yes, right.
Really, they came in, they were like, with their tights on and their shoes and their
and the hair slicked, like,
oh yeah, hair slicked and the whole thing. That's they're sort of like that, but not that. Because I wrote in there, I said, you got to come totally prepared, because I was teaching them some of the variations on Zoom, so we prepare, because it's only like 4 weeks of rehearsals and then the thing, because the theater's pretty expensive to rent, and parents have to pay $1,000 each for it, so
right.
So it's working out really well. And now you may or may not know this, but Marissa, who was living in Belgium, she's moving to Maui with her husband. Her husband just got a postdoctorate at the university there at the astronomy. So he's here now, and she's coming. So she's going to be my assistant director. So I'll have someone there on island, so I don't have to try to be 2 places at once all the time.
Yeah.
So I'll set up the programs, and I'll probably go like 1 day a week to teach, and she'll teach the other days. Isn't that cool?
Yes, that's fantastic. How convenient.
Well, convenient for her. She got a job without even having to do anything.
Yes, before she even had to show up.
Well, how I found out, because I had asked her to write a letter like you had done for that Muser Fund. Right. And then she told me that she was moving there, and I said, oh, well, this is good. All righty.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we created a neat logo. The logo is really cool because you saw that with the MB, but it's like the mountains of Maui and the little hook. And
right.
So Joey did a great job on that. So this is our first round, and we'll see maybe a summer program and something else. I don't know.
Yeah, the website looks really nice, and the WHDT website in general looks so nice these days too. I know you did a whole big revamp of that and the studio itself.
Joey is awesome. Joey Marshall. She actually is one of the few people that really gets what we're trying to do. She gets the concept of the whole thing, and it makes it look beautiful, right?
Yes.
As opposed to ballet? What?
Yeah.
Here in Hawaii, it's like, what are you doing? Belly dancing? I mean, I was the first one to raise my hand to say I will teach, because I've done it a long time. I've been teaching online for 15 years now, I think, because I have clients that.
Right. Yeah. You've been doing private classes and trainings and everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Crazy technology. Everyone's had to face so much technology this year. It's really great that you have that experience already.
Yeah, it's lucky. I did it before there were like cameras in the machines. Like I had do you remember Henry Berg? Henry Berg, he's a teacher from San Francisco. Okay, so he sent me, I told him I needed to do this. So he sent me this external camera. You just plugged it in the side. I had that little Mac. Mm-hmm. In fact, I still have it.
Our museum pieces.
Here is my little Mac that I
oh my gosh!
It's a G4. So I don't have the camera anymore, but it plugged in the side and it came up. It looked like a snake, and so that's how. And I did Skype, because at the time Skype was really the only thing. And I did that with my client at the Mauna Lani, the one that has cancer, and she really needed to do gyrokinesis 3 or 4 times a week. So anytime she wasn't here, I would do that. And so that's why I've been doing that all these years like that. But the Zoom is a little different, putting music to it's a little different. And I really don't know too much about tech stuff. Not really.
You know more than a lot of teachers, though. I do know a number of ballet teachers who've really, really struggled.
So I had this whole thing set up for the Zoom, because it's not great, Zoom and music. So I had this whole thing put in to make it work, and it was just not working. So I just went, and it works better with just the earbuds. Yeah. And then I have my music on the side with a little thing, and that's it. And it works fine. Like I teach all the classes, the ones in the studio with Megumi playing the piano. And so I've got the earbuds on one and then just the regular speaker in the studio. It seems to be okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So oh my gosh. So you're having the live piano music still too.
Yeah.
With the online classes. Oh, that's really complicated.
Yeah, it's been working pretty good though. We first did it for the live stream, when COVID first hit, and then we just did a live stream, and a lot of people showed up and they could all hear it just fine. So it worked good. So we just keep doing it.
Yeah, sound is the big one. I remember, first learning how to teach online a year ago, and I hadn't figured out the advanced settings in Zoom yet, and the students couldn't hear the music because it canceled it completely. It was like, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Yeah, you have to have it. I'll tell you, when you go to your little microphone where it says select a microphone, that has to be your headset, and then the speaker has to be something else. Like it's either, like I have one of those little mini speakers I just put right next to it, and that works. You can also share the screen, but that's
what I'm doing, is sharing the sound through the screen sharing.
Yeah. Does that work for you pretty well?
Yeah, it does work pretty well. Every once in a while they'll say, oh, the volume is sort of quiet, and there's 3 different places you could control the volume. So on Spotify, and then also on the computer, and then also whatever I'm hearing through. So I just turn them all up and they say, okay. But we really have a lot of internet issues here too. I feel like sometimes the kids are saying, oh, we can't really hear you. And some of them are, oh, I can hear you fine. And so it just depends on what equipment they've got at home, I guess. And
we have that too. In fact, we had a lot of students, because you know how it is here, they don't have internet. So we had a lot that couldn't do it online, and they didn't even really have places in their house to do it. So a lot of the kids that actually had a little room where they had a lanai, we sent out our Marley. We have the rules of the Marley. So those kids that were more advanced, we let them borrow that for that period of time so that they could actually do it. So we sent out 4 pieces of the Marley, and then we had just gotten a grant for a portable floor to go, like if we go to the parking lot, the parking lot, how awful that is. So we got like this, it's actually a roll that's cushy, and then you put the Marley over the top. And so if it's like this, it's kind of evens it out. So that's in Andrew's garage right now, because he's at Boston Ballet now, but he really needed to have something real, because he's a guy and it's like trying to do the tours.
Jumping. I was going to say, we've been doing less jumping because our floors at home are bad.
Floors are terrible. And then I've got one girl in Maui who's very talented, and she's working for the YGP. So her mom, in the middle of the pandemic, figured out how to get her over here to work with me privately for like a week. But then it locked down a lot more. I mean, it was like in a period of time that we didn't have so much of a lockdown, but then everything else I had to do on Zoom. But she did really well. She placed in the top 12, both in Latin America, because her mom sent a video of her, and also in San Diego. So she got like 5th, I think, for her contemporary, and 6th for her classical. I know, and just doing it in her garage. Her parents put together in the garage a little place, and so she did good.
That's so awesome. I actually got to see, because of COVID, there's some little silver linings, and I got to watch, I think it's on Art on television here. We got to watch the Prix de Lausanne.
I saw it too.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was
really
great.
The guys were so good.
There's so many.
And the guy from the Zurich Ballet, who was from, where was it from? Egypt.
Yes. That Egyptian guy was fantastic.
Well, there was one girl, two girls actually, that their parents they actually live in Vancouver, and they were going to Go Ballet Academy, but they had a house here. So they would bring them, and they were a lot younger now, but she's at the Zurich Ballet. I think she just got into a company somewhere. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Zurich Ballet is, I guess, a good training school over there.
Right. That was what was, I mean, the dancing was fantastic, but that was what was most interesting to me was out of the top 20, there's really only like 5 studios.
Yes, correct. There's only like 5 studios out of the top 20.
I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, here's another kid from South Korea, that's really well represented. And then,
and unlike YGP, they have only certain variations they can do. So you watch the
that
same
was
one.
What really got us after a while. We're like, okay.
Okay, we've seen that one already again.
You better do an amazing job, because the other one was pretty good.
Yeah.
And the modern thing too was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a bummer to be locked down, but it's pretty cool to actually have access into those things that ordinarily we couldn't get to into. See.
Yeah, I would never get to see that otherwise. So that was good. It sucks. It's got to get better soon. We're okay here. I mean, we can have 10 people in the studio, so we're doing it. Yeah, we have, and then but it's really great, because if the kids can't get a ride, a lot of times kids can't get a ride, so they can just come on Zoom.
It's great to have that option. Yeah. For the far away. Think about when the kids were commuting from Volcano to.
Remember those kids? Remember they came from Volcano like every week? Remember those kids?
I was like, wow, that is such dedication.
I know, but they really did it. That was so good.
Yes. Hopefully everything will be picking up again soon.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know what soon is anymore, but soon.
I know, it's whatever.
Well, I'm just remembering coming home. When was that? January of 2010 or something. And I was going through my first divorce.
I remember.
I was just really a mess about that, and what's going to happen. And you said to me, isn't life always so exciting? I think about that so often. I was like, yes, it is.
It's a learning experience. It's all, you just put it all in your back pocket. And you might need some of that later on down the road somewhere.
Right. This will be useful
And
somehow.
it'll always pass. It'll always pass.
Yeah. And I think that really, a lot of that comes from you, because people tell me now, it's like, you just managed to bounce back from whatever comes. Yeah. It's amazing how you take something that looks really not a great situation and just turn it into something positive.
Right. That's it. Lemons into lemonade, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit magical, but
it is. But it does. It works. Just so long as you have the mindset for it, it's going to come.
Yeah.
You just pull it into you.
Yeah.
And don't hang on to anything negative. Just like put that in a big flame, send it up to the violet flame, and go away. See you later.
Yes. Yes. That's what I think of as like water off a duck's back. You just release it, shake it off, anything that, any negative voices that you're hearing, or just let it go.
Because then the void can get filled in with something more positive.
Yeah.
Move you forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a really nice place for us to wrap this up. I think I've kept you for a while. I could talk with you all night there and all day here, but I actually have a German class that I'm going to be in 15 minutes.
Just jump on in. That's a good way to go.
Yeah, and if they understand you, then that's good enough.
Yeah. Oh, I think
but dancers tend to live longer.
They do. You have to. Because we don't have enough money. We have to keep
working. We have to keep working.
Because we love it.
Yes, exactly. There was that article recently about Twyla Tharp. She's almost 80. And it's all about how does she still do it. Yeah, I was going to say, probably showed it to you too. I'm like, that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, there was a special on PBS. They showed her doing this thing, they're trying to choreograph on Zoom with Misty Copeland and Maria Korcheva and one of the ABT guys. Yeah, so she was not happy with choreographing on Zoom, but she was doing it anyway. She's so prolific. I can't believe how much stuff she's done.
Yeah.
And I read her book too about continuing to, and she's still on the floor she's doing everything. She's almost 80.
She's still getting up and going to the gym, I think, and then.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to the gym. I'm doing yoga and gyrotonic.
Yeah. Yeah. All the yoga.
Yeah, all the yoga. All right. Because I know you have to go for your class.
Yeah, I need to run, but thank you so much for your time and all the great stories. I knew it'd be fun to catch up with you. Thanks so much for joining me for this first interview and 50th episode of my podcast. I have so many ideas for the next year and hope that you'll subscribe to this podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, to the YouTube channel to keep in touch with all of those. And come visit me on my website in the meantime at ablythecoach.com. That's ABLYTHECOACH.com. For links to many of the resources and programs that we discussed in the episode, I will include those in the show notes. Have a great one. I'll see you next time.